Alan!
Welcome, Jurassic Park fans, to another review leading up to Jurassic World Dominion. I have a confession. I like Jurassic Park 3.
They set a trap. They actually set a trap.
Yup, you heard me right. I am a Jurassic Park 3 defender because I love this movie. I already understand I'm going to be in the minority here because 1, this is the least successful Jurassic Park movie that was made. Not saying it at all was a flop, it still made tons of money and a profit, but nowhere near as much as the previous 2 movies. The studio kind of shot themselves in the foot because they thought the Jurassic Park name was big enough on its own that they didn't have to push the marketing so hard. Steven Spielberg also didn't want to come back for a third one as he felt he did everything he could with the last 2 movies. Instead, hiring director Joe Johnston, who made 1995's Jumanji, and would also go on to direct the first Captain America movie, which is my personal favorite standalone MCU movie, but was also a visual effects artist that kind of gave him the upper hand on directing this movie. And look, I'll be honest, even though I love Jurassic Park 3, I am aware of its flaws, and I'm not gonna hold back on mentioning them, so let's just go ahead and hit play with Jurassic Park 3 of 2001. So starting off here with Jurassic Park 3, it already has the upper hand on the last 2 movies because look at this title sequence. That's better than just having the Jurassic Park font dissolve into the screen. We find here a couple of tourists going around the island of Jurassic Park as it seems they've made some sort of career out of it. At least that's what I assume from this writing on their parachute, providing the childlike sense of wonder for this movie, Eric, a view of the park. I like how Joe Johnston didn't completely get rid of Steven Spielberg's formula for the Jurassic Park movies and still included an opening kill sequence with some people getting munched up, even if we don't exactly get to see it. It's just a really eerie shot of looking down at that boat having no people there but blood scattered everywhere. With the 2 characters now headed to the park, we dissolve over to catch up on Alan Grant. Best decision you could have ever made, Joe Johnston, bringing back Alan Grant, aka Sam Neill. He's my favorite character in the whole Jurassic Park franchise, and he was severely missed in my opinion in the last movie. To me, he's always worked as the heart of the movie, even if they can't really figure out his human relationships. Because we have Ellie Sattler also back, who, if you remember in the first movie, was mentioned they were dating, and all these years later, no, this isn't the family that Alan Grant has made with Ellie. Instead, he's here visiting his ex-girlfriend, meeting her new husband and her children, because that's completely normal. I'm gonna throw out a theory here and say that Ellie and Alan were actually never dating. Like really, go back and watch that first Jurassic Park movie. Ellie and Alan are very friendly with each other, but I never got the sense they were in love or dating. It's only ever explicitly made clear when Ian is trying to pull the moves on Ellie, and I feel like Alan is just protecting Ellie and lying that they're dating so scummy Ian Malcolm doesn't touch her.
She's not, like, available, is she?
What?
You two are,
Yeah.
Which would then totally change your perspective on this situation, because then it's a previous teacher reconnecting with a student who they shared a traumatic experience with. So that's my headcanon, and I'm not really going to change it. Unless Jurassic World Dominion brings them together, then I guess I'll accept it. But speaking of some of the traumatizing stuff they went through, we learned here that Alan Grant still has a fascination with dinosaurs, is still continuing his research, even though Ellie Sattler has decided to kind of give up on that life because she still gets nightmares of those dinosaurs.
All our theories about raptor intelligence, what they were capable of, we weren't even close. Do you remember the sounds they made?
I try not to.
I like that contrast. But in the time since we've seen Alan Grant, he has fallen on hard times where he's having trouble finding funding for his dig site. You would think now that the last movie proved to the world that dinosaurs are real, they exist, there's an island full of them, there would be people ready to hand Alan all sorts of cash just to find out as much as they can about them. Here's though where the movie wastes no time at all setting up why Alan would have to go back to the island, because as he said,
no force on earth or heaven could get me on that island.
Paul and Amanda Kirby pose as rich executives willing to fund Alan Grant's dig site on the condition that he works as their tour guide as they fly over Jurassic Park, claiming it's just something they want to do and promise they will not land. And this is honestly why I just really love Jurassic Park 3. It is the shortest out of all the Jurassic Park movies, coming in at 1 hour and 30 minutes. And within 15 minutes of that runtime, they already give you the perfect reasoning for why Alan Grant would have to end up back back on the island. One of the original plot ideas that they bounced around as they were writing the script is that Alan Grant was already living on the island studying these animals further, but director Joe Johnston thought that Alan Grant, being traumatized from the event, wouldn't want to actually live on that island. Another one is that he would be tricked by InGen to return on the island so that they can gather up research they left behind. They also ditched that, instead coming up with what I would categorize as a B-level horror movie premise. Team needs to be rounded up to go to uncharted territory to encounter monsters while they get picked off one by one. That is your stereotypical B horror movie, and I guess that's why some people leave disappointed with Jurassic Park 3. The intention with every sequel is to up the ante, do something more dangerous, go bigger and crazier. Steven Spielberg even mentioned before that the third movie was supposed to all be about dinosaurs on the mainland, but greedy little Steven Spielberg didn't want that idea done without him, so he threw it in the finale of Jurassic Park 2 instead of making it its own movie. So I understand why people think that Jurassic Park 3 is a step down, because premise-wise, it is very simple and not really a huge finale for what is one of the biggest franchises of its time. So we see Alan and his student Billy take up the offer of Mr. Kirby to help fund their dig site, where we're treated to the one scene that has ruined the reputation of Jurassic Park 3 in all its entirety.
Alan.
This weird scene in Jurassic Park 3 has done more damage to the film than any other scene in the entire franchise. I fully believe if you never had a scene like this, there would actually be a lot more Jurassic Park 3 fans, but this is like the go-to thing to point out and be like, I can't believe you like Jurassic Park 3. Do you not remember?
Alan.
Sure, Jurassic Park 2 can have 12-year-olds beating up velociraptors with gymnastics, but if you have a velociraptor saying,
Alan.
oh, it's the end of the world. But once Alan Grant wakes up from that nightmare, he is reminded of the beauty that is Jurassic Park.
I'm sorry, look, everyone, if you look out the left of the plane, you can see a whole herd of brachiosaurs.
How about up front? You guys see anything?
Mrs. Kirby, look. Out here, you'll see a group of triceratops.
Alan Grant's excitement of seeing these dinosaurs and then wanting to fulfill his duties of being this tour guide that they hired him for, it's such a joy to see, and it makes me a little sad that these people are ignoring him, but for good reason, because as we come to find out,
I think they're looking for someone.
Alan and Billy were tricked to come onto the island so that they could help Mr. and Mrs. Kirby find their missing son from the beginning of the movie. Pretty effed up, I know, but again, it works perfectly for the simple premise of this movie to get Alan Grant back on the island in a way that makes sense, and unlike in the previous movie where it took us basically a full hour to get some real dinosaur action going, within 20 minutes, we have here our first eerie encounter with the dinosaur.
What are you doing?
That's Cooper!
Thank you, Joe Johnston, for wanting to keep that sense of terror with these dinosaurs. Some Jurassic Park fans say he even takes it a step too far, because with this third movie, they wanted to step away from what we've traditionally known in the past, and that is always fearing the T-Rex. Here, the team wanted something bigger and badder, and that is the Spinosaurus. Big topic of debate amongst Jurassic Park fans, and could be another reason why people don't like it, because they even took the T-Rex off the logo for the third movie. Some would say that's just disrespecting the T-Rex, man. But look, while I'll even agree that the Spinosaurus will never be as iconic as the T-Rex, I do think it would have been boring if it was just a T-Rex going after them in this whole sequence. Every Jurassic Park movie should include new dinosaurs, and especially a new big bad, so I approve of the Spinosaurus being in here, especially since this is like the first time in the 3 Jurassic Park movies we actually get 2 big dinosaurs against each other. Who doesn't love seeing 2 dinosaurs fight each other? But I did say I was going to be fair with Jurassic Park 3 and mention some of my nitpicks with this movie, and the things that make it maybe not as great of a sequel as all the other movies. For one, while I appreciate they have a much smaller focused cast, because in the second movie, you had a large cast, so many unnamed NPC characters just roaming in the background, some that just disappear towards the end of the movie. Vince Vaughn's character, Roland the Hunter, the 12-year-old gymnastics girl, these are all people that just disappear for the finale. With the smaller cast, it allows us to be a little more intimate, grow a bond with them, and hope they don't die off screen. I just kind of wish Joe Johnston kind of separated out the kills. Also, while I'm not super annoyed with the Amanda character, I understand sometimes her actions can get on your nerves and you're wondering, lady, do you want the rest of the team to die with you? Moving forward with the team, they do stumble upon an engine compound that kind of always made me speculate and theorize if there was something more in Jurassic Park 3. Because again, while the story is very simple, there's not a lot of complicated layers to it, there are subtle hints thrown in there that kind of deepen the Jurassic Park lore. For one, they mentioned the Spinosaurus was one of the dinosaurs that InGen didn't disclose they created.
Spinosaurus aegypticus.
I don't remember that on InGen's list.
Because it wasn't on their list, and that makes you wonder what else they were up to.
Meaning there was something they were hiding with that dinosaur. And the compound here they find, I think, was our first hint to hybrid or genetically modified dinosaurs. Because to me, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park 3 always looked very weird compared to the rest of the dinosaurs that we've seen previously. Some of them have these quills or these spikes or very bright colors on them. It always felt to me like every single one of these dinosaurs we were witnessing were hybrids that were supposed to be kept secret. But again, that's just a theory. It would have been cool if maybe they explored that. But in keeping with tradition of a Jurassic Park movie, you gotta have some velociraptors coming to attack. And I love the way Joe Johnston kind of sets this up with this background velociraptor just running through frame. Even the way it creeps up on Amanda in this sequence. And I guess this is also why I'm glad they switched out directors, because even though I love Steven Spielberg and he does nothing but great work, it's always cool to get a refreshing point of view on a lot of these dinosaurs. Also, side note, kind of happy this happened to this character. I didn't want to say it. The child in me will never look at this actor the same way ever since Air Bud. As far as I'm concerned, he deserved it for what he did to Buddy. But we see Alan is on the verge of being attacked by these velociraptors when out of nowhere, Alan Grant finding out that Eric is actually alive and has survived on the island all these weeks on his own. And I get it, people don't want to suspend their disbelief and think a child actually survived on this island.
This is T-Rex P. How'd you get it?
You don't want to know.
I believe it, and as a kid, you looked up to Eric. You hoped in your heart, because you've seen these Jurassic Park movies, you would also survive a little bit on these islands, and that's kind of the whole fun of some of these Jurassic Park movies. If you were thrown in to Jurassic Park, do you have what it takes to survive? What would you do? What would be your strategy? And I think those are the kind of questions you ask yourself when watching this third film. You're stranded, and it's all about survival, and that's what just makes this one so entertaining for me. The next day, however, the family finally reunited, and I don't care if you find the Kirbys annoying. This is heartwarming. Imagine thinking your child was lost on a dinosaur island for weeks, and then you come to find out they actually survived. That's gotta warm your heart a little bit. Come on now. Our heroes, now thinking they've escaped death, trying to figure out how to get off this island, Billy informs Alan of a great mistake he's made.
Please give me the bag. It's not safe.
Raptor X.
And you know what? Watching Jurassic Park 3 all this time later as an adult, I don't think Billy is all that bad for what he did. Like, Alan Grant does not hold back and roast the heck out of little Billy.
As far as I'm concerned, you're no better than the people that built this place.
When honestly, I don't blame them. They thought they were gonna get some money, be able to fund their dig site for a few more years. Instead, they were tricked and nearly killed by dinosaurs. You would want to leave with something that would make the trip worthwhile. But just as Alan is about to get rid of the eggs, he realizes it's probably a better idea to keep them so he can give them back if they're ever captured by the velociraptors. Having our heroes move on to the next big set piece filled with pteranodons. This is again probably why I really like Jurassic Park 3. This whole sequence involving this bird cage and the introduction of the pteranodons coming after them, it feels like a horror movie. The slow building realization of what they're actually in, the way the pteranodon is walking on the bridge towards our characters, heck, even the kid character that rarely get injured in these movies gets brutally attacked by baby pteranodons. And can we just talk about this amazing transition shot? Come on, everybody wants to keep talking about
Alan.
when you should be talking about this.
Alan.
But thanks to what appeared to be Billy's sacrifice, Alan and the Kirby family made it out safe onto a boat, heading towards shore, hoping they can get off the island.
Find it before it stops ringing.
Am I the only one who ever thought this dinosaur needed to have a bigger role in the Jurassic Park franchise? Just like, what a cool design. You got a horn on your head, you're colored red, and you're scared of the smell of poo? He's just like me. But again, I've been praising Jurassic Park 3 a little too much because now I gotta go back to talking about some things that make this movie not so great, and really, it's its entire third final act. I get the suspense and tension Joe Johnston was trying to build up here with Alan Grant on the phone, trying to get Ellie on the line so she can get help and save them, but after the big finale sequence that we got in the last movie, this just all feels so underwhelming and is over so quickly. I mean, this big battle with your new giant Spinosaurus is over with him just running away from fire. Our character is running into the forest, getting surrounded by the velociraptors, returning the eggs, and having a little rap battle. Then just reaching the shore with an entire army there to save them and take them to safety. It just doesn't feel like the big finale for what might have been the last Jurassic Park movie ever made. Usually you make these things into a trilogy, and those last 15 minutes just feel so rushed and like the movie was just wanting to end. They even cop out from one of the deaths earlier in the movie, having Billy survive. As a kid, I kind of was mad at that, but as an adult who thinks Billy was not all the way in the wrong, is kind of happy he made it. So when it comes down to it, Alan Grant is right.
I have a theory that there are two kinds of boys.
There are two kind of Jurassic Park fans. There are those who prefer Jurassic Park The Lost World because of its bigger scale, its large group of characters, variety of dinosaurs, and a complex story that involves a lot of dialogue, even ethical dilemmas on what it means to have these dinosaurs and playing God. And then there's people like me who kind of would just rather have a movie like Jurassic Park 3 where we just get a simple, interesting premise that involves characters being chased by dinosaurs and dying one by one. Jurassic Park 3 to me is the more entertaining, rewatchable movie, and is probably the reason why Jurassic Park 3 is my most rewatched film out of the entire franchise. But even if that's what I wanted, other Jurassic Park fans won because the franchise headed in the more complicated direction where we'll start to explore again ethical dilemmas with breeding dinosaurs. Can they be used to weaponize? What happens when you start using that dinosaur technology on humans? Real complex ideas and stories that don't just involve people getting eaten by dinosaurs. But with that said, I think everyone can agree the next two Jurassic Park movies, probably the most controversial. Can't wait to get into them. On the next one, guys,